So as we know, motocross is a fast-paced and aggressive sport. And while green laning is still fun, why the hell would I choose this over this? Well, not everything to do with myself is as it seems. So in today's video, I just want to explain why I was forced to quit motocross but fell in love with green laning. So as always, I've chosen a few lanes that I've found on the byway map. I've never been out this way before, so sit back and take it easy and let me know what you think of my story. The passion that I've had for riding dirt bikes came from when I was a kid. I remember quite clearly the first ever bike I had, it was a little QR50, little twist and go, nothing special, but straight away I was addicted, I was in love. We had a local track and it was called VS Green. Brilliant track, completely hard packed. My dad started the bike up. I'm all kitted up with second-hand gear because we didn't know whether I was going to carry on doing it or not. I went round and round and round until I ran out of petrol. I was completely the other side of the track. We had to push the bike the whole way back. And do you know what? We filled it up and I did exactly the same thing again. So natural progression from the QR, I moved up into a bit of a faster 50, ready for racing. My parents joined us into a local motocross club and it was from there when I started racing. But naturally we moved up, we did the 50s, we did the 65s, we moved on to the 85s. And there's always a time in our lives that we wish we could go back to. And this period of my life was something that stands out, something that I will always cherish and remember, because not only was it such a great time in my life because I was riding bikes and racing, but it was the family time. And to be honest, now I've grown up, I realise that, yeah, we probably took that for granted at the time. This is amazing, look. I don't know how these people get to their house, whether they come down this lane or not. It's quite a simple lane, to be honest. We've had some real heavy rain over the last couple of days, so I'm not going to be surprised if we have some giant puddles we've got to try and navigate our way through today. Again, not knowing at the time, but I think people that ride motocross and have raced motocross, it teaches you something that not everybody has. The fact that you fall off, you get up, you carry on riding. The pain doesn't matter. All you're interested in is getting back on the bike and finishing that race, whether you come last, whether you come first. And that mentality it follows you the whole way through life. Nearly there. I believe in you. So I just breezed through that, okay, but the years that go from 50s to 60s to 85s, it's quite a long period of my life. But as everything, it came to an end. It was when I came to the end of secondary school is when we kind of gave the racing up. And looking back, I wish you didn't, really. But it's one of those things. So in between the time giving up motocross and finally getting back into it, all I was doing was figuring out what I wanted to do in life. I got myself a job. And as soon as I got that first paycheck, I knew exactly what I was doing. I was saving up and I was getting myself another bike. And that's exactly what I did. I got myself a CR F250. It was a 2002 and it was a bag of bolts, trust me, but it was mine. I paid for it, I bought the bike, I was out. Yeah, I had to borrow my dad's van to get to the tracks, but I was there and I was riding all off of my own back. And this was when I met some great people. I made some real good friends. Just at the track you get talking, see them the next week, and that was it. Swapping numbers, and we'd organise to all go out together. Towards the end of this section of my riding career, if that's what you want to call it, I really started to take things a bit more seriously. I wasn't just practicing on the Saturday or the Sunday, I was doing full weekends. Every single weekend I was practicing. I was training and I'd set a goal that I was going to do a full race season, and that was going to be my last season before entering the world. And where I was taking things a bit more seriously with the motocross, bought myself a new bike. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't brand new, but it was a newer bike than what I already had. I set myself up with a van. I got it all kitted out into a bit of a mini camper day van so I could go off, get there the day before, set my bike up so I'm ready to race. Now this is where things changed drastically. My whole life, not that I knew it, was about to change. Yeah, I don't fancy getting completely soaked today. So before I go too deep into this, I just want to say that if you are new to this channel, I make light-hearted green laning content. I also do moto vlogs on my Triumph Street Triple. So if this is something that keeps you guys entertained, please consider subscribing. And also, if you have had a similar situation to the story I'm about to carry on telling, let me know, because it's not a nice thing, but we have to make the best of these situations. So one day I woke up and I was completely in pain from my left groin all the way down to my leg, and at the time I just thought I'd pulled a muscle, something wasn't quite right, but the amount of times I've hurt myself riding, it's nothing new. A few days went by, pain was still there, it was growing worse, I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping, and at this point I'd been to the hospital and the doctors 8 different times. No one was taking me seriously, no one listened and believed that something was wrong. And that same day that I went to the hospital on the 8th visit, they sent me home, they gave me more painkillers and said you'll be fine. 2 hours after getting back home, I had a fit. Parents being parents, the first thing they did, called the ambulance. They turned up, took my blood markers, and they said something is seriously wrong. From this point, over the next 5 days, is a bit of a blur for me. But in essence, what happened is I'd caught a blood infection. The blood infection was attacking everything in my body because blood is everywhere. It decided to attack everything in my left hip. Because of this, I spent the next month in the hospital, basically fighting for my life. And I'll be completely honest, the only thing that was going on in my head was, when can I get back on the bike? The amount of times I asked the doctors, tell me, am I going to be able to get back on the bike? Am I going to be able to walk again? Because at this point, I was in a wheelchair, and that is where I spent the next year. We're a bit overgrown down here. Whoa! Doesn't look like anyone's been down here for a while. Looks like we come to a bit of a dead end, big old dead tree. I don't know where any of that goes. I think I'm going to have to turn around. My mental health wasn't in the best place because of this. Going from a fit 21-year-old on the bike every weekend, setting up a full year's worth of racing, saving up all my money, to then being stuck in a bed for a whole year in a wheelchair at home on my own. It wasn't the nicest of things. But at the end of that year, I had to go in for an operation, and the operation was just a full hip replacement on my left hip. Now, as a 21-year-old with a hip replacement, it really mucks you up. It really plays on your mind. But like I said earlier on in the video, with that fighting mentality of a motocross rider, I feel like this really helped me pull myself through. Told you, big old puddles. Drop down there. Now, after the hip replacement, obviously there was a section that physiotherapy, the gym, gaining muscle back. Like this picture, you can see my left leg's half the size of my right leg, half the size it was previously, so that all had to be built back up. Now, a year later, from being in the gym training to racing motocross to training to be able to walk again, at the end of it, there was a sense of pride that I've got through this, I've lived, and I will get back on that bike again. And that's exactly what I did. I went out and I bought myself Honda again, I love them, but I bought a CRF 250 this time, not a 450. For some reason in my head, it's safer, no idea how. I took it slow, but I did, I got back and I rode motocross. I was only practicing, and there was no way I was going to go back racing because, as I said, the aggressive and the fast-paced mentality of motocross, it's just too dangerous and I couldn't take that risk. Now, at this point, I'd tried out a few of the Action Tracks enduro events, and with the 450 it was just so hard, I just couldn't do it. So I made the decision, I want to carry on riding, I love bikes. I can't carry on riding motocross, it's just too dangerous. And that's when I saw this come up on Facebook. I drove all the way down to Brighton, I spent my hard-earned cash, and I've never looked back, to be honest with you. Green laning, it's not motocross, but it is still fun. I'm still on a bike, and for some people, yeah, it might be too boring for you, but not everyone's in the same situation as you. So if you are ever watching these videos thinking it's quite mundane, it's nothing too scary, nothing too dangerous, then now you understand exactly why I'm doing it. By the way, we'll have a go at this one. Well, it looks a bit overgrown again. So now I've told you exactly how I've ended up with this bike. There's actually 3 main reasons that I bought it, and this video here tells you exactly why. And if you are thinking of buying one yourself, let me know, did this video help you out? But until next time guys, take it easy. I'm going to make my way back to the truck, and I'll see you in the next video.